Good morning. I'm Walt Bartman. I'm the founder and director of the Yellow Barn Studio at the Glen Echo, and we have been doing instructor interviews so that our students and people who might be interested in studying at the Yellow Barn will get to know who our instructors are. So this morning we have Mark Giaimo.
Correct, you got it.
There you go, and he's joining us as a instructor here at the Yellow Barn. And this is one of the things to get to know him because he's just going to be starting teaching for us. He comes with a long resume. We're really honored to have him join our faculty. And I think you as a student, taking a class with him are really going to benefit from his knowledge and his experience. So Mark, welcome.
Thank you. Well, glad to be here.
Great to see you. And perhaps maybe just to get things started, we'd like to get you to just say something about yourself. Maybe give us a little background. All right.
Sure. I was a former political cartoonist and then an illustrator. And about around 2003, I took up painting and took some classes locally here in the area with some really good instructors, and then kind of went off on my own and just kind of had to teach myself because I had a day job like most people, and it was hard to get in. But I kind of progressed, represented by a gallery in town in Georgetown, and I've had 2 solo exhibitions, and I still freelance illustrate for various publications, and teach on the side now and then too as well.
So go a little bit further back. How did you get started in this art field to begin with?
Well, I mean, when I was a kid, I was, probably drawing before I could speak, like most artists, budding artists. So I was doing that, and a lot of, when I was in school, I'd be drawing characters of my teachers and stuff, and my fellow students would be dumpster diving at the end of the year trying to grab my notebooks and stuff like that. So I started doing political cartoons in high school, and then I did them through college. And then on the side, I was always, drawing more serious, more classical kind of stuff. And around 2002, I took my first real art class. I was always self-taught. And I had a really good teacher who kind of pulled me aside after class. I thought I was going to be in trouble, but she was really kind and really encouraging. And it made a huge difference to me. And then I got, into books and, old painting manuals and teaching myself and meeting people here in town. I'm friends with Gavin Glakis and Eric Westbrook, who are teachers at Yellow Barn, and just kind of working my, as much as I can when I can.
Yeah. So the focus of your life has been working for the publications and that.
Yeah, and for a long time it was. Yeah.
So how many years have you been doing that?
I've been doing that for about 30 some years, 35 years.
You're really immersed in making a living as an artist. I think that's
I was a full-time editorial cartoonist and illustrator, and the industry's is constricted a bit. When I started, there were 400 full-time cartoonists. I think they're down to 30 now. So I had to start thinking other ways, and I was getting burned out, and I really fell in love with oil painting.
Yeah, this is the thing to have you. I mean, I know your work, and I know that we are getting a really quality, artist and instructor.
Well, thank you.
And you joining us. So I really am, really happy about that. Are you from the area, or are you from outside the area?
No, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
How are you? Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I know Milwaukee, so I got to see the Art Institute there, and I know it's a great town, and it is full of art. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I was a security guard at the Milwaukee Art Museum when I was in college.
There you go.
So that was kind of my art education.
Yeah. There's that Nicholas de Stael painting of the 2 red boats. I don't know that one, and they have the I think there's a Lovis Corinth, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
yeah, yeah.
Lovis Corinth is
Not too many people know him. He's great.
yeah. So it's those are my memories. I think
Yeah,
of that museum. It's a really good one if anybody gets out there. I think right now, what we're doing is trying to get the some ideas here as to what your teaching is going to be like. And I think one of the things that looking at your work, I think what we want to do is just kind of go through and see what you've accomplished. Okay. And then
sure.
this way the viewers can get an idea of what your experience is and what your interest is and what you can pass on to them. I think this is one of the most important things. I've been teaching 50 years. Key to my teaching is that I bring this information and knowledge to my students. And I think, we want quality instructors. And like I said, you're one of those. So let's go ahead and share the screen and see what.
Sure. Just
see
one
what
second here. There we go. All right, can you see that?
we can, yes.
Yeah. So these are my still life paintings, which I call things. This is the stuff that's at Callaway Fine Arts in Georgetown. And I can kind of go through. Right now I'm doing a series of paintings, of still life paintings of shoes, actually. And this is one I just finished. And they're just basically simple, really simple compositions, very simple lighting of just everyday objects. I'm mostly a white background, right? But some of these were done on a color background. But I'm just kind of doing mostly shoes. I've done an umbrella here and there, some other objects, I can do the more, classical kind of, this one's called Rocky Menamori. I try to use a lot of humor in my work as well. And so I can do the bigger stuff. This one is a painting called Knowledge and Wisdom, which won an award. So I used to do a lot of toys. I use toys kind of to teach myself how to paint, really. I didn't have access to plaster casts. And so I would grab these things at flea markets and set them up. And, you had to be accurate. I was trying to figure out sort of that classical realism. And so I was doing that for a long time. I had a solo exhibition of some of this work. That's called Allegory of Love. So, there's a bit of humor in it. It's also, sort of that classical realism, humanist art, trying to combine both of them. So yeah, these shoes are sort of the series. I've kind of been condensing it down and making it something that I can create a little bit quicker to get to my gallery, because it is, for me, a commercial enterprise. It's not just a sideline. I need to make money, and these things sell, and I love doing them. There's something about shoes and your gloves, just sort of intimate things. And if I'm going to start painting my wife's things that are just they're kind of autobiographical in a lot of ways. There's a lot, instead of doing a portrait, which I love portrait painting, but a lot of people are not going to want a portrait of someone they don't know, but they could probably relate to a pair of shoes and a pair of gloves. So that's for the still life, and the class I'm teaching is going to be still life simplified. So it's just going to be really basic, and then we can expand out to more complex things. It'll be a lot of dealing with form, color, really basic stuff in any medium, etc. I also do political illustrations. These when I was a political cartoonist, these might get people a little ticked off, but so like these are characters, they're cartoons, more in a caricature kind of vein. It's just charcoal on pencil. And I was doing this during COVID because I was just stuck in the house like everyone else. And I just was getting a little bit annoyed by our former president and the COVID response. So I was just really having a lot of fun, just kind of, doing different characters of little cartoons of people, mostly Trump, mostly Trump. I don't do them too often, but I did do more of this kind of stuff. This was I have more of these on a. I need to put some more on my website, but these were freelance illustrations for the Commercial Observer in New York City, and they would give me a story and say, and sometimes they would have the idea, can you do this? And it was a real quick turnaround, like a 3-day turnaround. And I would draw it and, conceptualize it, paint it, photograph it, send it back. And I still have the drawings and the whole process. So when I do my character class or my narrative illustration class, I can show people the whole process from thumbnail to the final work. And then these were like, painted, you can kind of see in the background of behind me, there's the original of this, which is quite large. It's, I think, a 18 by 24, something like that. That one is of the senator down in Mario Rubio, because he's so young, so I put him on a tricycle. These were also at the gallery. This was for the Washington Post magazine. I did some illustrations. This was for a Halloween special issue that they had, and it was a lot of fun. I used I do paint from photos now and then, so I was using my niece and nephew and my brother-in-law, and having a lot of fun with that. I bought Halloween costumes for them, which they got to keep and use, and then I went out at night and was secretly photographing houses, trying not to get too much. They want to get arrested for people thinking I was casing their houses. It was a lot of fun. It was a really good time. And that was a pretty large, somebody actually bought this one, so I don't have the original anymore. Some of these were from different publications. This is but this one I still have. I was doing a whole series of kind of, fables and applying them to different candidates. This was the 2000 election, I believe, when Bernie was going against Hillary, and that's Hillary's shoe. Bernie, the giant slayer, when he was going after Hillary. I mean, it's just a lot of playful kind of stuff. I can get kind of mean and nasty. I try to avoid it. I don't have that in me anymore. I think as I got older, I mellowed. I remember a guy he's I forget his name now. He's a pretty big illustrator. He saw my work. He says, "Your stuff's too nice." So character can be really nasty, but it can also be just a lot of fun and a little bit more gentle. You don't always have to go for the jugular. And then the other thing I did, and this applies more to the narrative illustration. This is an example of a bunch of black and white pen and ink stuff that I did for the Washington Post magazine. It was a bi-weekly graphic reportage, as we called it. And I would go out, actually a reporter did this one, so I'll show you this one. This was my first real assignment. And there was a guy who had a bean, one of those bean trucks before they proliferated, and it was down on K Street. And I just went out with a tape recorder, my camera, and a notebook and just shot about 100 some photos of him and recorded all the conversations that went on. And then from there, I had to, curate all the photos down in some kind of distillation and edit. I had to transcribe all the conversations, and then I had to write a little story and then make a mock-up, and then this is what happened. You just try to make it somewhat comic book, but somewhat a narrative piece. And then they started switching them to vertical. They were full page. You can see a little bit bigger. This was I don't know if anyone's ever been to the drum circle in Meridian Hill Park. I used to live across the street, and it would just drive me crazy because they would drum every afternoon in the weekends. So I thought, well, might as well make some money off this. So I went and did the same thing. So it was, again, it was a lot of fun. It was a real challenge. It was a lot of work, but it was a really great time. And it stretched me out. And I used some of this stuff for I do have some painted narrative paintings, which I also, when I do the narrative class, it doesn't always have to be about, I mean, these are some people, but this one was in my rock and roll show at Callaway down in 2018. I was doing narrative paintings, kind of applying sort of that approach. I use a lot of photos for these, and then collage them together, and then try to do a story. This was called The Songwriter. It was quite large. I think it's 52 by 30 inches. These are sort of my darker series, called my Semi-Idiotic series. It was kind of a take on semiotics. It's basically questioning. It's a little bit Mark Tansey, playing with images and surrealism. And in this one, it's when I go out landscape painting, sometimes I'm like, what would happen if a mushroom cloud? Would I paint it? Knowing me, knowing most of our artists, we'd be like, I got to get this down, So I use a lot of humor in my paintings, but then again, I can do, this kind of work. Sometimes I was on a bus going back from the office, and I saw some people kind of huddled that way, and it was in the afternoon on K Street, and I just secretly took a shot. And then I had a couple friends of mine, a couple model for me, and then I, worked out a collage and then drew it and painted it. And that's at the Writers Group in Bethesda, Maryland. They purchased it, which was quite nice of them. So that's kind of, pretty much what I do.
Yeah, your website. How can people get to your website to see your work?
It's markgiaimo.com, and the last name it's an Italian diphthong, so it's Giaimo. So it's markgiaimo.com.
Yeah, this is a wonderful body of work. I think I want to thank you for sharing it. I think we're really impressed with what I am. All right, that's one of the reasons why I'm really
thank you so much. I love your work, and I really that's high praise indeed.
Well, having you join us is going to be a great addition, and I think you fill in. When we look at the instructors, you certainly fit in with the group that we have. And honestly, students, looking at your background, I mean, one of the things about being in this art business is you got to support yourself, and that is always a challenge. And I think you can see your hard work. There's no doubt. All right, you're consistent.
It's a hustle. Yeah, you got to hustle and work hard in the competitions.
So I mean, this is it. Well, this is it. And you're able to pass that kind of experience on to your students. I think this is one of the things that sometimes I feel, you have that career and you're able to be flexible. I mean, you can do a variety of things. And I mean, this is what's interesting. I mean, you have a sense of humor as well as you have a serious side to you. And, this sensitive side now with these, individual objects that you're painting, I think you're exactly right, to communicate what I think the importance of art is, and that is whatever the image is, it needs to connect to human beings. And I think those images really do. I think now what we want to do is just talk a little bit about you teaching, and what do you want you think is important for your students to learn?
Well, I think every time I've taught, every student comes in with different needs and different expectations, and they've got different goals. So it's not a, fit everyone into a box. So usually what I do at the beginning of a class, every term, is I gather everyone around and everyone introduce each other and explain where they are and where they want to go. I mean, some people are going to want, to do really, vermicitude, exactly how it looks. And I can show them that. I know how to do site size. I use that a lot because it's a good, fast way to self-correct, especially if you're learning by yourself like I did. It was a really good tool. But some people are going to be like, I don't have any interest in doing that. Some people just want to come in and just relax and get away from their work week. So you go around, you suggest things to students, but a lot of it is kind of just getting feedback from the students and listening to them and seeing what they want to do, and trying to meet those needs, and show them a way that they can achieve these things. Art it's not, I don't believe it's necessarily some innate talent. I think especially a lot of it is just skill. You learn skills, and everyone's got these emotions and stories to tell, and that'll come through. And so I want to demystify it a little bit, that it's not like, I mean, when I was a kid, I just couldn't imagine how anyone could draw like Michelangelo. I thought they did it out of their head. I had no idea they even used models. I was coming from a comic book, background when I was a little kid, and to me, I never thought I could be able to do these kinds of paintings when I was young. I just thought it was impossible. And, I wasn't any great talent or anything. It's just, you get good teachers, you're curious, and, if you have to put the work in as well, if you go as far as you want to go.
So what classes are you teaching?
I'm doing the Still Life Simplified, which is going to be basic still life, kind of a bit more like these latest objects, where it's just one or two things, explain lighting, and then branch out into multi-object things to build up. But I want to go slow. Still life's a lot of fun, and it's a really good medium and way to learn how to compose and to put on paint and draw accurately, all that. And I can teach it in acrylic, oil. I know how to pretty much every medium, watercolor if a student wants to do that, or just charcoal. The other two classes, one is the caricature class, the art of caricature. And again, that would just be, everyone coming in with their own photo, or I can provide a photo, and then we would just work on, how to distort basic head structure, how to simplify forms and shapes, but then also, make them, crazy and weird. And again, if you want to work in Procreate, if you want to do it, digital drawing, pen and ink, I've pretty much done every medium. And so I think I can help students, if they're doing an ink brush, I know how to do that. So it's basically that kind of thing. It's in the narrative illustration class is the same thing. That's a little bit more involved, because, it would be, if you have a story to tell in your head, or I can assign something. But generally, if you have some kind of story idea, it's a process. It's not something you can just, it's not a spontaneous kind of thing where, like landscape painting or abstract painting, where you're kind of feeling your way through or responding right away. You have to kind of think these things through and have kind of a strategy. And you can use those things you've learned from landscape painting and all that in your work. But there's a good idea to have kind of a process to get you there, and so you can bring it all together.
Yeah, now we need to get you students. What days of the week and times are you teaching these classes?
Tuesdays in the evenings is, I think, I don't have my schedule with me, so it's I'm not sure which ones. It's a Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays from 7 to 9:30.
Some 9:30. A lot of people that are working will be able to take advantage of working with you. And I think this is one of the things that we're really going to try and promote. And really, we want to get the word out, because I think that we have, you're an excellent, an excellent artist and teacher. And I think that if anything, anybody listening to this video, pass the word around to your friends, because I think if you study with Mark, you're going to really learn a lot. And I feel you want to take advantage of the fact that he is teaching for us. Okay. When their students are done, do you have anything, as far as trying to get them to achieve anything? Do you have any goals for them? I mean, is it putting a portfolio together or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would, especially for especially younger students who are, in high school, but my age limit is minimum age is 16, but, high school kids or college kids, or even, people who are starting out in the illustration business, I can, give them a lot of insights on how to deal with art directors and, how that all works, getting your website, all that. And then with the still life painting, I really would like to see, them get better. I mean, sometimes you have these classes where a student's been taking it for 4 or 5 years and there's just not a lot of improvement. And I hope that I can impart some kind of knowledge and excitement where, they get that they want to go home and work on it a little bit more on their own and get better.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you one more question, and that is, we have different instructors at the Yellow Barn, their strengths, like one might be a colorist. I think, how do you see yourself in your work?
I'm a tonalist, more of a tonalist than a colorist. I did study with like Danny Dawson and a lot of the Nelson Shanks guys. And so I can do that thing, but I've over the years kind of gone more tonal. And I'm, more of a realist, classical realist. I like, the pre-modern art as far as doing it. I like a lot of modern art and contemporary art, but my heart kind of goes more to that. And, so, really good drawing and tonal kind of painting and, injecting some humor into it.
The narrative. What I see is the drawing. I mean, this is one of the things, anybody that's really going to study with you, when we look at your ability to just about draw anything, and I mean, your color in that is wonderful too. But I think the key here is that you really got that good classical background, which I think you can really pass on to people who, need to learn these things before they can go ahead on and build on their own ideas, So I think they're going to get a good opportunity if they study with you to do that. This is it. Do you have anything else you want to add to this conversation before we're done that you can think of, or anything you want to say to the people that might be signing up for your classes?
I'm really, really thrilled and really excited to be doing this and to teach. I've been teaching in the past on and off, but I'm really excited to have 3 classes and kind of branch out and do these, kind of use everything that I know, and I'm thrilled. I mean, I love Yellow Barn. It's a great institution. And, really, as far as painting, my big start was when I took an art class in Naples, Florida. I was a political cartoonist and I needed to learn how to paint, and I went and it changed my life, and it was just wonderful. So, you never know.
Yeah, and I'm sure people that study with you, you'll change their lives. And I think that this is one of the things that we all want to do as instructors. I mean, and enjoy teaching. I think everyone, you can see who Mark is. I think he's obviously a very personal guy that you can really tie into and work with. Easy going. All right. I feel if anything, he, think about taking a class with him. Go to the yellowbarnstudio.com website and you can do that. Well, with that, I want to thank everybody for watching, and I'm going to say goodbye and hope to see you again. Take care.
Thanks, Walt. I really appreciate it.
So welcome.